Hello everyone and welcome to another high elo game of Age of Empires. Today, grab your canteen, your khakis, and your pith helmet and join me on the arid plains of Socotra as we watch MbL playing as the Poles in green take on FreakinAndy playing as the Britons in orange. Now, while the players heard their herdables explore their immediate tiny surroundings, take a look. We are on Socotra, not a map we have seen recently. Okay, FreakinAndy already moving out. And as both players likely rush up to Feudal Age, let's take a look at the Civ matchup we'll be watching today as FreakinAndy already begins the pressure with a scout attacking a house, a distraction move to get MbL's scout to the left while he lames my favorite lemon bushes to the right. Amazing move out of our Briton so far, but in any event, let's take a look at the Poles. A Civ that does focus on their cavalry. If you're in the mood for something light, Pole scout line units do come with a small attack bonus against archers and can be upgraded to do trample damage, which can be very, very helpful in the late game since Poles are one of the only two Civs in the game to have their Hussars replaced with winged Hussars, which are already tankier and stronger than normal Hussars and come with an attack bonus against gunpowder units and an even bigger attack bonus against monks. Now, if you're in the mood for a bit of a heavier meal, something a little stronger to sit in your stomach, for example, zebra meat, holy moly, FreakinAndy came to play. The Poles can upgrade their knights, their cavaliers to cost 60% less gold. So it becomes much easier to spam these heavy units starting in Castle Age. Now, to back up their cavalry, the Poles can field their unique unit, the Obuch. This is a tanky, well-armored infantry unit whose attack actually reduces the melee and pierce armor of its opponent by 1 with every swipe of its giant warhammer. And MbL's going to discover that his bushes are no longer forageable. Now to support, actually, now he's heading across the map. Let's keep an eye on this. I'm going to have to zoom out a lot while I do these Civ introductions because they're just 3 minutes in. There's already so much happening. I feel like he's going to try to lame the zebras of his opponent here. In any event, to support the production of their food and gold units, Pole stone miners also generate gold. Their farmers have access to a unique structure called the Folwark, which replaces their mill and automatically adds 8% of a farm's value that's seated in its radius to their coffers. And if that's still not enough for you, it does also come with 5 population room. Now, Pole villagers themselves, like Viking berserkers, do start regenerating HP. Unlike Viking berserkers, they start regenerating it in Feudal Age. We've got a divorce situation here. Both parents want custody of the zebra, but the zebra returns to the Briton stronghold right as FreakinAndy moves out with his own hunters with their ludicrously large arrows. And he's going to notice that he has had done to him what he has done to his opponent, who, by the way, places a Folwark so you can see the radius around it. Any farm seated in here, 8% will get automatically added to the Pole coffers. Now, let's take a look at the Britons because I want to get these Civ intros done. These players are not wasting any time. Very much a civilization built around supporting its ranged units. Start with Britain's archery rangers work 10% faster. Their foot archers, except for skirmishers, come with extra range in Castle and Imperial. And if that's not enough range for you, all of their foot archers can be upgraded to get even more range. Now, all of this extra range is fantastic news for their unique unit, the Longbow, a decent foot archer that comes with a massive 12 range when it's fully upgraded. Now, Briton Trebs are also some of the most powerful in the game because they can be upgraded to do trample damage and have 100% accuracy against stationary units. Now, Briton Town Centers do cost 50% less wood. Not that I expect wood to really be an issue here, but it does allow them to support their military production quite well, and their shepherds work 25% faster. These are the two civilizations. Man, I'm surprised I managed to get through that without another shenanigan being pulled off by either one of these players. Just to recap what we've seen in the first, let's call it 5 minutes of the game, even though we're approaching minute 8, I think things have kind of slowed down. In the first 5 minutes of the game, we had FreakinAndy attacking a house to pull MbL's scout to the left as he lamed his berry bushes to the right. The villager that joined the scout then lamed these zebras who are still decaying under the hot Socotran sun. At the same time, MbL pushed out and did the exact same thing to FreakinAndy zebras. And though one zebra did kind of get in the middle of the parents who were fighting, where are you guys going now? Okay, building a mining camp. Now remember, once this mining camp completes, take a look at the top right. They will automatically deposit the food. There it is, 6 to 82. They didn't need to return to the mill. As long as you're building that economic structure, it will deposit the food you've gathered, and you're holding those big stakes in their hands. But yeah, if you haven't noticed, for the, what is it, the third time? We are on Socotra. Like I said, not a map that we've seen. It was very hot, very popular, the map du jour for a month or so, and then kind of didn't appear again for a while. But if you take a look, there's a lot of wood ringing the perimeter of the map, and even though you're in water, you have no way to access it because there are rocks all the way around. Generally a very short rush distance, which means the players will have a lot of fun attacking into one another. And generally, the maps that I've seen, the games that I've seen on this map, there's a lot of villager on villager violence. In this case, the both players opting to take out their aggression on the poor wildlife of the map. Although I noticed that none of them ever attacked the lion. Why the hell would they? MbL hits Feudal Age first with the same villagers that our Briton has. What am I missing here? What's being attacked? Okay, well, there you go. Villagers defending themselves against a few Polish militias. And I don't know where these militiamen think they're going. These villagers, do they have loom? Of course they do. They should be able to defend against this quite handily, quite easily, especially now with the scout mixed in. Or rather, no, the scout's all the way over here. Ooh, HP on the scouts. Both of them need to be very careful, or they're going to lose these scouts. The villagers say enough is enough. 3 of them are more than enough to take out these 2 militias. Now, interestingly, he's adding in skirmishers. You're not going to damage these villagers very much. I mean, what is it, 1 HP? Yeah, literally 1 HP, but doesn't need to kill them. I guess a nice silver medal would be to just get them off of their berries, because the second you attack these villagers, their flight or fight mechanic kicks in, and in this game, there is no fight. They just flight. They run the hell away. Let's take a look at our Briton base here. He's building himself an expansion here to the right side. Forest does extend all the way to the stone, the rocks, and so he is nice and secure on the right side of his map. To the north, a bit of a funnel, so expecting perhaps some aggression out of his opponent, but not too much. So not exactly a full wall off, whereas our pole is just completely open. Says, you know what? I'm gonna be the one who puts on the aggression against you. Brings in his archer. No range upgrades just yet, but I believe they can still reach these villagers, being 3 tiles with their 4 range. And look at that, now FreakinAndy playing more mind games, bringing in 1 skirmisher here to distract the skirmishers and archer of MbL while he completes this house. Somehow, this scout, I must not have seen him come through here, through the town center, but not too sure what he thinks he's doing, this man on a horse with that funny helmet, because he's got 9 HP, so he is not long for this world. Okay, speaking of futility, we've got a mill being attacked by skirmishers. But so far, villager count identical. Our pole very much ahead in the military count. Andy wants to continue walling himself in. Now, generally when you play against a civil like the Poles, where there is a very noticeable spike. The upgrade that I mentioned earlier, where they're Nightline units, they don't get paladins, but knights and cavaliers, those units go from 75 gold to 30 gold. 75 to 30. A 60% discount. That is a massive power spike, especially on a map like Socotra, where, as you can see, resources are everywhere, but there's not a lot of them. So that upgrade, Schlachter, is usually something you want to stop. So generally, the player opposing the Poles is the one putting on the aggression. In this case, MbL flipping the script, saying, I'm going to put on the aggression on you so that I can get my butt up to Castle Age. He's only 300 foot away. In fact, he probably could sell his stone and get up there much quicker, but he's not, because he doesn't see his opponent really doing much. For now, he is trying to bust his way into this base. So MbL saying, I'm going to hit Castle Age and then we'll see what happens. But FreakinAndy, despite a few fancy moves in the beginning, the laming, the distracting, the zebra kills, since then has basically just turtled up. I don't know if he expected to get more damage done. I don't know if he expected to kill villagers, for example. But so far, he's got 1 kill only. And it appears to be that scout. Or is it? No, never mind. The scout is still here. The scout is still here with his 9 HP. Andy has no idea that his opponent has already clicked up to Castle Age. He is... Okay, his resources all disappeared, which tells me after Wheelbarrow, we're going to see Castle himself. And now he's continuing to wall himself in. So he's preparing for an onslaught, double, triple wall-offs here. Which, you know what? When you're turtling... The Britons are a pretty damn good civilization to turtle, because once he hits Castle, all his foot archers, except for, remember, skirmishers, will come with extra range once he trains, or if he trains. So far, I don't see any archer units at all. And he's also got a few villagers on stone, which MbL does not. So we'll see if that's for a castle. We'll see if that's for a huge economic boom. Generally, games on Socotra don't really last very long. Just because, again, it's such a constrained little map. It's not exactly those mini-maps that T90 loves to cast. Those miniature versions of every fun map. But it's still a pretty damn small map. And the players have evened up the kill count here, 2-2. Our pole is unrelenting. In 11 seconds, he's going to be in Castle with Bloodlines, with Forging. We'll see if he converts his scouts, or upgrades rather, his scouts up to light cav, or if he begins training heavier cavalry units. For now, a second town center. Let's see how many stables our pole has. Just the one. Oh, and there's 4 scouts queued up behind this. What is our Briton doing? He's getting a stable of his own. So he's actually not too far behind MbL in hitting. What am I missing here? Oh, sorry, that wasn't... I apologize. I saw 4 garrison scouts, and I thought he had queued up 4 scouts to train. No. Those were just garrison, and in a few quick seconds, they're going to be light cavalry units. But our Briton continuing the retreat, the tactical walling retreat here. I wonder if MbL would be better placed attacking into other parts of the map now that this area is so thick. I mean, there's houses, there's mills, now there's another town center, which is going to shoo away all of the aggression from MbL, because these guys can now actually, fight back, as opposed to a mill, which the most of this can do is that, like Don Quixote, it can, like, hit you, I guess, but that's not a thing in Age of Empires. 2 extra town centers are already up for our Briton, the monastery going down, so that's one way to deal with your opponent's heavy cavalry units. The problem for FreakinAndy, his opponent's not going heavy cavalry units. He's staying on light cavalry, and he stopped training units altogether. He is going full on economy. And right, of course, as I say that, he trains a mangonel, or begins training a mangonel. I wonder why that was delayed so long there. And a monk of his own. Now, MbL, despite the fact that he was the one who had his berries lamed, his zebras lamed first, has taken domination, control of, what is this, 4/5, 80% of the map, and with that control comes all relic gold. All 5 relics are firmly in control of the Polish Commonwealth. But a sortie out of the gate for our Briton, as he's going to catch a whole bunch of skirmishers. First attack misses from the mangonel. I'm not too sure about this allocation of knights. Probably would have sent 1 knight here and 3 to the skirmishers instead of 3 and 1, but the knights shouldn't be too afraid to take this fight. He's got 1 monk already training a second, so he can heal these guys up, and skirmishers and scouts are not, and light cav are not going to hit very hard. Not against a unit that has 3/3 armor. And look at that. Look at that. The power of the heavier unit, and immediately our pole responds with heavy cavalry units of his own. Now you cannot engage in a arms race of knights, a knight's arms race, let's call it, with the Poles. Not if they get Schlachter. Now he's nowhere near getting Schlachter. Number one, he's got no stone for a castle. He's got 100 stone, so he can build an extra town center if he wants, which is exactly what he does next to a pile of gold. He's got 0 villagers on stone. And on top of that, he doesn't have the 800 resources he needs. So he doesn't have the food, doesn't have the gold. So for now, MbL housed. We've seen this so many times. He's housed and he loses a knight. But a knight for a monk. Not a bad trade at all. And I think he he recaptured that converted knight, by the way. So overall, a very sour loss there for FreakinAndy, who now continues to circle around this side of the map. We'll run into a monk as well. We'll lose a knight. Oh, that was a way too slow reaction time there. Oh, never mind. The RNG, the random number generator, working in favor of our Briton here, who chooses this moment to now expand himself out onto the map. Our pole is already sitting on 2 relics. A contested one right underneath the nose of our Britons may prove problematic. Another town center for our Britons. Our Briton, rather. He is pushing out. By the way, both of these players chose colors, very camo colors this game. Orange and green on a map that's orange and green. I wonder if that was deliberate. I wonder if that was... Oh, monk takes a bunch of balls to the back of the head, a bunch of rocks. The second monk does die before getting a conversion. But this is a battle that FreakinAndy should take freaking handily here. The Mangonel should zone out the skirmishers. No, never mind. It dies instead. Oh, but he's got to be careful. You've got to be careful. He's going to lose this knight. Ooh, the line becomes fainter and fainter. A random javelin thrown. It lands very far away from that horse's ass. And now the players have disengaged. It's actually our Briton who's ahead 6 villagers, but he's down 5 army count as he begins the destruction of the siege workshop that has been here for the longest time. More and more stables going up for our pole. Big surprise. You know what? For the first time, I actually call a civilization something, and they go that route. You know, I call them a cavalry civilization, so he doesn't go mass obuch. You know, I call it a ranged civilization, so of course he has to go knights. But he's also training spearmen, which I'm assuming are going to be pikemen at some point. Town center under attack. This Mangonel needs to be very careful here. It's entered the ambit of the town center. Ooh, good attack round there out of MbL, but he ultimately will lose. That Mangonel as a villager comes to repair the second, and the skirmishers get rid of that spearmen. Remember, they've been buffed recently, so now they come with a +4 attack against spearman line units, not +3. And look at that. He's babysat his knights. They are now almost at full health. And what's the knight count? 13 going up to 15 against 7. 7 against 15, but 4 monks. Might make it 11-11, actually. Never mind. These ones get pulled off to the right here to get that Mangonel. They get that plus a whole bunch of spearmen. Let's keep that zoomed out a little bit here on the left side of the map, though. Green has lost the Mangonel. We'll take a look at the conversion count at the end of the game here. Everyone is losing Mangonels. Mangonel count has basically been reset to 0 active Mangonels. There is one inside the siege workshop. And now orange has evened up the army count, but green has evened up the villager count. And orange, our Briton, with a big castle right in the face of his opponent. 2 mangoes pop up, but there is a knight. Should be able to clear that up. By the way, what is going on up here? Okay, so we've got a few militias with very, very healthy stats at the 32-minute mark of the game. And I think our Briton is happy to just keep green occupied here. Throw away a few knights. Doesn't really matter. You've got your castle up. You've secured both forward golds. You've denied another relic for your opponent, who, by the way, is sitting on 4 relics now. And I love this move out of Andy. Mining the forward, more exposed gold in addition to the safer one. And how he is absolutely overwhelming our pole's center position here with this castle. Going after the siege workshop. Now, this is not a move I agree with. What can possibly come out of here that can threaten a castle when there's knights around and a battering ram coming out? Focus your energy on these stables. You are fighting the poles, and knight count 13 to 18. Our pole is being pushed back. MbL put on aggression, but the insane amount of wall-offs were enough to stop him, and now he's getting his infrastructure attacked. And we've got longbows. You love to see this unit. Why are there 3 villagers garrisoned in here? Let's see their upgrades on these longbows. Only a 7 range, so a far cry from a fully upgraded 12 range longbow. MbL cocky placement of these fullworks here in the very forward position. Loses access to all of them and does manage to get 3 monks and a few longbows here. And now he's also pushing back. He's getting the siege. These battering rams are unsupported. 3 villagers have become 6 inside the castle. So they're going to add a few arrows here on top of the arrows already being fired by the castle. I really don't know what the hell the point of this army is. But we are 35 minutes into the game, and there is a stalemate in the center. 32 army supply to 24. 110 villagers to 100. Our Pole chooses this moment to drop a castle of his own. I'm looking at stone count. Our Briton does have enough stone for a castle, and he's got 47 villagers. Sorry to yell into the microphone. He's got 47 villagers in the forward position. How many of them are building this castle? About 18 to 20. A battle here. Knights versus knights. It looks like our Briton has the high ground. +2/+2 versus +1/+2. So our Briton is at a disadvantage upgrade wise, but he's got 2 castles now, and these knights are going to take a bunch of damage. They absolutely eviscerate the Briton knight line, but now ballistics is going to make sure that they pay the price. They're already down about 800 HP. One of the knights actually gets converted and joins the British Commonwealth. So we actually got a battle of Commonwealths here. Interesting. Pole castle attacking a Briton castle. Pole villagers moving to the left, and there it is. Schlachter privileges being researched, so he's going to be able to pump out a huge amount of knights. I say huge as food count is not exactly ideal, but gold wise, he's got now enough for what, 35 knights? Oh man, the power of Schlachter. It's just an insane upgrade. You'll see in a second why players try to stop the Poles from getting this upgrade ASAP, although maybe not. Okay, I say that, and immediately MbL says, oh, that you think so? You think I'm going to pump out a whole bunch of knights? No, I'm going up to Imperial Age. I'm going to take 1,000 food, 800 gold, and instead of building, what is that, 15 or so knights? 15 to 20 knights, can't really do the math right now. I'm just going to go up to Imperial. At the same time, he's continuing to train knights. His full here is safe. Another stable's being plopped down for him. FreakinAndy is... I don't know what to call this. I mean, he's pushing in through the center with these 2 battering rams, so we'll get a good amount of damage done on these castles. A 3rd battering ram. He's got 26 idle villagers garrisoned in these 2 castles. He can't mine this gold anymore because the 2 of the 3 patches are within the Polish castle range. Oh, now the Pole has 50 knights in here. You can just release them and attack the battering rams. Oh, that's very sour. Release and abscond. Oh my goodness, they run out of the castle. They run back in. But yeah, I don't... What do we think Andy needs to do here? He had a good amount of momentum. He himself is going up to Imperial about 1 minute and 20 seconds behind his opponents. What are the longbows like now? 8 range. Okay, so once he hits Imperial, that'll jump automatically to 9. But he's not getting any more done, Andy. He's kind of just gathering his forces, and that against the Polish player with Schlachter is a death sentence. But he still has 2 castles here. Why is he not risking some of these knights to attack these battering rams? The battering rams, by the way, are on the high ground. One of them does fall. This is a lot of arrows. 20 villagers idle. And a whole bunch more. 32 idle villagers for our Brit. Oh no. Monks. No upgrades at all, it doesn't seem like. But his castle is secure here. A Treb will be trained. Okay, it moves immediately out of the range of the castle. And now we'll pack up. But look at that. 40 seconds away from Cavalier. 51 knights. Andy does not know what's about to hit him. He's got a few petards. Oh, look at that. He's screening the petards with his villagers. Will the petard make it? Will he make it? He's crossing a day. Oh my god. That was like a fraternity hazing. He went through a whole bunch of ass paddles and another petard just blows up in the middle of nowhere. The damage is already done. Schlachter has researched the knights are cavaliers, and now this Briton army will seem very, very flimsy. The Britons need a lot of support for their longbows. The longbows are incredibly weak, especially against cavaliers. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 4 armor against the unit that attacks on a 9. So 5 damage done to 140 HP is what? 20... Oh my god, I used to be able to do math. 28 volleys to kill a single cavalier, and he doesn't have 28 longbows. Wow, what a fun game. Now, Socotra, generally you expect shenanigans like this, and look at this. I think MbL, as a matter of pride, he made a point of not destroying these palisades. He said, you know what? You think you can lame me, bro? Come at me. And I'm going to show you just how not lamed I am, and just took absolute control of the center for a brief shining moment. It looked like our Briton had pushed him back with 2 castles, a bunch of battering rams. Stables were falling left, right, and center, but our Pole, like a sponge, just absorbed the blows, got his butt up to Imperial, Schlachter, Cavalier, going up to 42 of them, and absolutely overwhelms. Andy, why did you have 32 idle villagers? Now 34. I mean, that's a third of your economy. I get that you want to put them in the castle, that adds extra arrows, but 34 idle villagers against the pole player with full works, keep in mind. And Schlachter privileges, which you must suspect at this point. You didn't put that much pressure on him. You saw the castle go up. You knew, you must know exactly what MbL was about, but ultimately great moves out of both players. I mean, the 40 chess move here in the beginning of the game to distract the scout so he could lame the berries was great. MbL tried to bust his way into here after what, 15-20 minutes, just gave up and says, you know what, have your wall off. I'll just pivot my super weak Feudal Age army to the top. In the meantime, I'll distract you by attacking this house. He didn't even manage to get even half the HP off the house. And I'm just going to establish my center infrastructure, and establish it he did. Man, super fun game. 100 Cavaliers, 56 Knights. Let's call it for what it is. 100 Knights for the majority of the game against 56 Knights. And there's your Schlachter. We'll see how much gold the players collected. PKPM. When was this? About 10 minutes ago. PKPM. Oh, right at the beginning of the game, of course, with all that, all the clicking that accompanies the start of a game. Our Pole with 4 relics to 1, about 2,000 extra gold. And what, oh, what will a Pole do with all that extra gold? Why, build 100 Knights / Cavaliers. He's got more wood, he's got more food, but precious resources he doesn't have that many of. Or that many more of. Barely a bit more stone, about 1,000 more gold for our Briton. But what's 1,000 gold when your opponent has 60% discounted knights? Oh, and I wanted to see conversions. Oh, our Briton, 14 conversions out of 150 army supply is about 10% of his army count, and 8 out of 123 is about 6 or 7%. So good numbers here for both players getting each other's units. Knights not exactly the fastest moving units. And there you go. There you have Socotra back in the meta. I'm happy to see it because, again, there's always shenanigans on this map. Now, usually it's villagers fighting villagers from the games I've seen, but this was a super fun game. Total kills incredibly similar. Total villager kills incredibly similar. Resources gathered about 20% more for our Pole. No surprise there with that bigger economy that, by the way, a third of it was not idled. About 10% of it's idled, but not a third of his economy was idled for FreakinAndy. I mean, also, this is generally, you know, right at the end of the game, if a player thinks they're going to lose or knows they're going to lose, whatever, he can see the score. He's down about 20% score at this point. They sometimes just leave their villagers to stand around and not really do much. We've seen that in a lot of games, but still a third of these villagers were idle. And I loved the move out of him to take this very forward gold. He looks like he mined out all of the gold here in the front as well. Ultimately, though, Andy was not able to get the critical damage that he needed to. MbL soaked up the damage, got his castle up, got Schlachter, got Cavaliers, and with those Cavaliers just absolutely wrecked the Briton army. I mean, the Briton army is still at a 1-2 upgrades, whereas the Cavaliers are 2-2, and they cost only 30 gold. So you do the math. Does not work out in the favor of our Briton, who taps out, lives to fight another day. It is MbL, our Pole in green, who takes control of this rocky island in the middle of the ocean. But GG to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.